Today's word of the day is Zabra. Zabra means a sailing vessel resembling a small frigate and used chiefly by the Spanish in the 16th and 17th centuries. Zabra comes from Spanish, from Catalan, at Zaura, from Arabic, Zawraq, small boats. Today's word of the day is Yoruba. Yoruba means a people of southwestern Nigeria and parts of Benin and Togo. Be a member of such people. 2. A Niger-Congo language of the Yoruba people. Yoruba comes from first known use 1841, sense 1a. Today's word of the day is Yurchuk. Yurchuk means a medium-sized Australian eucalypt, Eucalyptus concidiniana, with rough flaky bark and pale gummy timber. Yurchuk comes from a native name in Australia. September 21st of 2025's word of the day is Yabi. Yabi means Tasmanian wolf. Yabi comes from a native name in Tasmania. Today's word of the day is vulpicide. Vulpicide means a person killing a fox by means other than those of hunting with hounds, or the killing of a fox by means other than those of hunting with hounds. Vulpicide comes from irregular, from Latin vulpes, fox, plus English, side. Vulpicide comes from Latin vulpes, fox, plus English, eye, plus side. Today's word of the day is Wayeb. Wayeb means a period consisting of 5 nameless days added to a tun to make the 365-day year of the Maya calendar. Wayeb comes from Mayan. Today's word of the day is Tirthankara. Tirthankara means one of the 24 founding Jinnas of Jain tradition, venerated as breakers of the path across the stream of time to nirvana, who have shown the way to spiritual liberation in Jainism, a pioneer of faith. Tirthankara comes from Sanskrit Tirthankara, literally ford making, from Tirtha, passage, ford plus karoti, he does. Sanskrit kara, doing, karnoti, he does, makes. Today's word of the day is stoichiometry. Stoichiometry means 1. A branch of science that deals with the application of the laws of definite proportions and of the conservation of matter and also energy to chemical reactions and processes. 2. A. The quantitative relationship of constituents in a chemical entity. B. The quantitative relationship between 2 or more substances, especially in processes involving physical or chemical change. Stoichiometry comes from Greek stichio plus English metri, first known use 1807, sense 1. Today's word of the day is Thenides. Thenides means at that time, in those days. Thenides comes from then plus a days, as in nowadays. Today's word of the day is siglos. Siglos means a silver coin of ancient Persia equal to 1/20th of a dark and weighing about 5.6 grams. Siglos comes from Greek siglos, siklos, of Semitic origin. Today's word of the day is soufflé. Soufflé means of pottery, decorated with very small drops or sprinkles of color, as if blown from a bellows, or souffled, aid, souffled, from soufflé plus d, puffed by, or in cooking. Soufflé comes from French, from past participle of souffler, to blow. Today's word of the day is Shungapavi. Shungapavi means 1. A Shoshonean people occupying a pueblo in northeastern Arizona. 2. A member of the Shungapavi people. Today's word of the day is Sangir, Sangarese. Sangir means 1. A predominantly Muslim people inhabiting the Sangir Islands, Indonesia, and the southern coastal regions of Mindanao, called also Sangil. B. A member of such people. 2. An Austronesian language of the Sangir people. Today's word of the day is rhodinone. Rhodinone means a crystalline pentacyclic compound, C23H22O6, that is related to isoflavone, found especially in darius and cube roots, used in insecticides and in primitive fish and arrow poisons, and of low toxicity to warm-blooded animals. Rhodinone comes from international scientific vocabulary rodin, from Japanese roten, darius plants, plus own. First known use was in 1904. Today's word of the day is rodeo. Rodeo means a contest featuring events that test driving skill, especially of professional truck drivers. Rodeo comes from a blend of road and rodeo. Noun. Today's word of the day is donga. Donga means one of a boat-dwelling people distantly related to the Li, whose boats form compact colonies in the river, especially at Canton and Fuzhou, China. Donga comes from Chinese, Cantonese, Donga, literally, egg people. Today's word of the day is rumline. Rumline means a line on the surface of the earth that makes equal oblique angles with all meridians, that is, a spiral coiling around the poles but never reaching them, and that is the path of a ship sailing always oblique to the meridian in the direction of one and the same points of the compass. Rumline comes from first known use 1669. September 22nd of 2025's word of the day was ressorial. Ressorial means one, of a bird, habitually scratching the ground in search of food. 2. Of or relating to the ressores, gallinaceous. Ressorial comes from New Latin, rassores, plus English, eel. Today's word of the day is quadrumvir. Quadrumvir means a member of a quadrumvirate. Quadrumvir comes from back formation from quadrumvirates, first known use, 1790. Today's word of the day is socid. Socid means an insect of the family Socidae. Broadly, any of various usually winged insects of the order Chorodentia. Today's word of the day is pompholix. Pompholix means one or pompholix, impure zinc oxide produced by burning zinc or roasting its ores. Flowers of zinc. 2. A skin disease marked by an eruption of vesicles, especially on the palms and soles. Pompholix comes from New Latin pompolug, pompolux, from Greek bubble. Today's word of the day is pollane. Pollane means a piece of defensive armor usually covering the knee. Pollane comes from Middle English, from Middle French, poulain. Today's word of the day is plectostele. Plectostele means an actinostele, as in a club moss, in which the xylem elements are arranged in usually parallel plates. Plectostele comes from plect plus steel. Today's word of the day is peruche. Peruche means parrot green. Peruche comes from French, literally a kind of parrots, alteration of perroquet, parrots. Today's word of the day is oropharyngeal. Oropharyngeal means 1. Of or relating to the oropharynx. 2. Of or relating to the mouth and pharynx. Oropharyngeal comes from oro plus pharyngeal. First known use, 1885, sense 1. Today's word of the day is Ochre Mountains. Ochre Mountains are a mountain range in north-central Utah, south of the Great Salt Lake. Today's word of the day is Ochre Mountains. Ochre Mountains means a mountain range. Today's word of the day is Ochre Mountains. Ochre Mountains are a mountain range in north-central Utah, south of the Great Salt Lake. Today's word of the day is oquasa. Oquasa means a small, rather slender trout, Salvelinus oquasa, found in the Rangeley Lakes of Maine. Oquasa comes from Oquasa Rangeley Lake in western Maine. Today's word of the day is numinous. Numinous means an unseen but majestic presence that inspires both dread and fascination and constitutes the non-rational element characteristic of vital religion, a psychic revelation of deity producing religious awe and ecstasy, usually used with the. Numinous comes from German numinos, from Latin numen, numen. Today's word of the day is nabam. Nabam means a crystalline fungicide. CH2NHCSSNA. 2. Disodium ethylene bis dithiocarbamates. Nabam comes from sodium, Na is the symbol, plus dithiocarbamates. Today's word of the day is Morozov. Morozov means a learned fool. Morozov comes from Morozov, from obsolete French Morozov, from Greek Morosophos, from moros, dull, stupid, plus sophos, wise. Today's word of the day is micelle. Micelle means a unit of structure built up from polymeric molecules or ions, such as A, an ordered region in a natural or synthetic fiber, as of cellulose, silk, or viscose rayon. B, a highly associated particle of a colloidal solution. C, an organic colloidal particle ranging in size from 1 micron to 1 millimicron and found in coal and some shales. Micelle comes from New Latin micella, from Latin mica, crumb, plus ella. First known use, 1881. Today's word of the day is mental hygiene. Mental hygiene means the science of maintaining mental health and preventing the development of psychosis, neurosis, or other personality disturbance. Today's word of the day is Malayalam. Malayalam means 1. The Dravidian language of Kerala, southern India, closely related to Tamil. 2. The script normally used in writing Malayalam. Malayalam comes from first known use, 1814, sense 1. Today's word of the day is Lollapalooza. Lollapalooza means something extraordinarily impressive, an outstanding example. Lollapalooza comes from first known use, 1896. Today's word of the day is linguaversion. Linguaversion means displacement of a tooth to the lingual side of its proper occlusal position. Linguaversion comes from lingu plus version. Today's word of the day is lex privata. Lex privata means Roman law, a provision, as a restriction or obligation of a private contract. Lex privata comes from New Latin, private law. Today's word of the day is lei. Lei means a wreath, garland, or necklace of flowers, leaves, shells, or other materials that is a symbol of affection in Polynesia. Lei comes from Hawaiian, first known use in 1843. Today's word of the day is Kashim. Kashim means an Eskimo house of assembly. Kashim comes from Eskimo. Today's word of the day is Kaimakam. Kaimakam means a lieutenant or deputy in the service of the Ottoman Empire. Kaimakam comes from the Turkish Kaimakam, from the Arabic Qa'im, Maqam, deputy, from Qa'im, standing, plus Maqam, place. Today's word of the day is jojoba or jojoba. Jojoba means a shrub or small tree, Simonsia californica, of the family Buxaceae of southwestern North America, with edible seeds that contain a valuable oil. Jojoba comes from Mexican Spanish jojoba. First known use was in 1900. Today's word of the day is jejun. Jejun means 1. Obsolete, lacking food, hungry. 2. Inadequate to nourish the body or relieve hunger, wanting nutritive value. 3. A. Devoid of interest or significance, dull, flat, inane, vapid. B. Giving evidence of lack of experience or information. C. Immature, juvenile, puerile. Jejun comes from Latin jejunus, first known use, circa 1620, sense 1. Today's word of the day is izzat. Izzat means 1. Personal dignity or respect, honor. 2. Power to command admiration, prestige. Izzat comes from Hindi, izzat, from Arabic, izz, glory. Today's word of the day is Istasiwadl. Istasiwadl means extinct volcano, 17,343 feet, 52,086 meters, high in southern Mexico, north of Popocatépetl. Today's word of the day is Hogmanay. Hogmanay means 1. Scottish, New Year's Eve. 2. A traditional Scottish celebration at New Year's Eve. A. The going about of children from house to house, singing and asking for gifts, usually of cakes or nuts. B. The going about from house to house, with the intention of being the first visitor. 3. A cake, gift, or treats given at New Year's Eve. Hogmanay comes from origin unknown, first known use, 1681, sense 1. Today's word of the day is hellacious. Hellacious means 1. Exceptionally powerful or violent. 2. Remarkably good. 3. Extremely difficult. Or 4. Extraordinarily large. Hellacious comes from hell plus acious, as in splendacious. First known use 1929, sense 1. Today's word of the day is hellacious. Hellacious means 1. Exceptionally powerful or violent. 2. Remarkably good. 3. Extremely difficult. Or 4. Extraordinarily large. Hellacious comes from hell plus acious, as in splendacious. First known use 1929, sense 1. Today's word of the day is gralloch. Gralloch means 1. British, the entrails of an animal, as a deer. 2. British, the act of grallocking. Gralloch comes from Scottish Gaelic, Grialach. Today's word of the day is hebdomadal. Hebdomadal means obsolete, consisting of 7 days, lasting 7 days, meeting or appearing once a week, weekly. Hebdomadal comes from the late Latin hebdomadalis, from Latin hebdomad, hebdomas, plus alice, all. Today's word of the day is Gildekop. Gildekop is a serious photodynamic disease of southern African sheep due to sensitization to light following the ingestion of certain plants, and characterized by intense jaundice and a severe facial edema. Gildekop comes from Afrikaans, from geel, yellow, plus dikkop, a disease of sheep, from dik, thick, plus kop, head, from Dutch, from Middle Dutch, kop, koppe, drinking vessel, skull. Today's word of the day is gabanga. Gabanga means the leaf fiber of the gabang palm. Gabanga comes from the New Latin specific epithet of corypha, gabanga, from Malay, gabang. Today's word of the day is gato. Gâteau means 1. Cake, especially a fancy cake filled with custard and glacéed fruits and nuts. 2. A food item baked or served in the form of a cake. Gâteau comes from French gâteau, from Old French gastel, probably of Germanic origin. Today's word of the day is foie gras. Foie gras means fat liver, especially of a goose, usually in the form of a pâté, puree, or terrine. Foie gras comes from French. First known use, 1818. Today's word of the day is flummadiddle. Flummadiddle, flumdiddle, flummerdiddle, flummydiddle, fummadiddle. Flummadiddle means 1. Something foolish or worthless, nonsense, trash. 2. Bauble, frill. Flummadiddle comes from perhaps alteration of flummery. Today's word of the day is fistulous. Fistulous means having the form or nature of a fistula, relating to or having a fistula. Hollow like a pipe or reed. Fistulous comes from Middle English, from Latin, fistulosus, from fistula, plus osus, us. Today's word of the day is fauchard. Fauchard means a long-handled medieval weapon with a long convex edge. Fauchard comes from French, from Old French, faussarts, fauscarts, from faus, faus, sickle, scythe, from Latin falx, ard, art, ard. Today's word of the day is égalité. Égalité means social or political equality, especially in extreme social and political leveling. Égalité comes from the French égalité, equality. First known use was in 1794. Today's word of the day is effigy mound. Effigy mound means a prehistoric American Indian burial mound shaped like an animal, such as a bird or serpents. Effigy mound does not have a listed definition in the unabridged Merriam-Webster dictionary. Today's word of the day is effervescence. Effervescence means 1. Marked by or expressing a state of effervescence, impossible or difficult to restrain or suppress, bubbling, exuberance. 2. Having the property of effervescing. Effervescence comes from Latin effervescens, present participle of effervescere. Today's word of the day is dynamis. Dynamis means the state of that which is not yet fully realized, power, potentiality, contrasted with energia. Dynamis comes from Greek dynamis, power, from dynasme, to be able. Today's word of the day is dum fuit infra aetatem. Dum fuit infra aetatem means while under age, used of an old writ for enabling a man after coming of age to recover lands he alienated while an infant. Dum fuit infra aetatem comes from Latin, while he was under age. Today's word of the day is Dnieprodzержinsk, or Dnieprodzержinsk. Dnieprodzержinsk means a city in east-central Ukraine on the Dnieper River. Population 245,000. Today's word of the day is dictaphonic. Dictaphonic means of speech, reproduced with extreme accuracy. Today's word of the day is de facto. De facto means 1. Actually, in fact, in reality. 2. A. Exercising the powers and demanding the privileges of a regularly and legally constituted authority, often with a color of rights. B. Existing as the controlling power, used of a government actually functioning as a result of a revolution or rebellion, but not yet permanently established or recognized. C. existing in fact and in opposition to an assumed or fictitious state of affairs. De facto comes from Latin, first known use 1601, sense 1. Today's word of the day is confirmor. Confirmor means one that makes a confirmation of title to another. Today's word of the day is Civitavecchia. Civitavecchia is a commune and port west-northwest of Rome on the Tyrrhenian Sea in Lazio, central Italy. Population 50,902. Today's word of the day is crystal. Crystal means a transverse line of crushed fibers in the belly of an archery bow, beginning as a pinch. Crystal comes from origin unknown. Today's word of the day is cetology. Cetology means a branch of zoology dealing with the whales. Cetology comes from international scientific vocabulary, cetes plus logy. First known use was circa 1828. September 26th of 2025's word of the day was carcinoma. Carcinoma means a malignant tumor consisting of epithelial cells lying within the connective tissue framework of an organ or other structure of a human or animal body. Cancer, sarcoma. Carcinoma comes from Latin, from Greek, karkinoma, cancer, from karkinos. First known use, circa 1721. Today's word of the day is carapace. Carapace means 1. A bony or chitinous case or shield covering the back or part of the back of an animal, as the upper shell of a turtle, the shell of an armadillo, or the shell of a crab. B. The entire shell of a turtle comprising the carapace and the plastron. 2. A hard superficial crust. B. Any hard protective outer covering, specifically a manner, attitude, or state of mind, as indifference or hostility, serving to protect or isolate from external influence. Carapace comes from French, from Spanish, carapacho. First known use, 1836, sense 1a. Today's word of the day is Burkandaz. Burkandaz means an armed guard or policeman of 18th and 19th century India. Burkandaz comes from Hindi Burkandaz, from Persian, from Burq, lightning, from Arabic, plus andaz, thrower. Today's word of the day is boysenberry. Boysenberry means 1. A very large bramble fruit with a flavor like a raspberry, especially valued for canning and preserving. 2. The trailing hybrid bramble that bears boysenberries that was developed in California by hybridization from several blackberries and raspberries. Boysenberry comes from, named after, Rudolph Boysen, Floruit 1923, American horticulturist, its originator. First known use, 1935, sense 1. Today's word of the day is braccio. Braccio means an Italian unit of length varying between 15 and 39 inches. Braccio comes from Italian, literally, arm, from Latin, brachium. Today's word of the day is blur. Blur means bellow, low, used of cattle or those, such as children, that cry out loudly. Blur comes from Middle English, blorin. Today's word of the day is beneficium caedendarum actionem. Beneficium caedendarum actionem means Roman and civil law, the right of a surety before paying a principal's debt to a creditor to insist that the creditor's cause of action against the debtor or any co-surety first be assigned to the surety making the payments. Beneficium cadendarum actionem comes from late Latin, right of yielding the suits. Today's word of the day is augenphilologie. Augenphilologie means linguistics that misrepresents the realities of speech because of overemphasis on writing. Augenphilologie comes from German, literally, philology of the eyes, from Augen, plural of Auge, eye, plus Philologie, philology. Today's word of the day is atrichia. Atrichia means congenital or acquired baldness. Alopecia. Atrichia comes from New Latin from a plus trichia. Today's word of the day is atoll. Atoll means a coral reef appearing above the sea as a low ring-shaped coral island or as a chain of closely spaced coral islets around a shallow lagoon that may vary in diameter from less than a mile to 80 or more. Atoll comes from a native name in the Maldive Islands. Its first known use was in 1625. Today's word of the day is Armagnac. Armagnac means a brown, dry brandy from the department of Gers in southern France, distilled from grape wine and aged in oak barrels. Armagnac comes from French, from Armagnac, region in southwest France. First known use was in 1831. Today's word of the day is argillaceous. Argillaceous means of, relating to, or containing clay or clay minerals. Clayey. Argillaceous comes from Latin argillaceus, from argilla, aceus, aceus. First known use 1676. September 20th of 2025's word of the day is arcolo. Arcolo means Scottish, the return that one who has been treated in an inn makes to the company. Arcolo comes from origin unknown. Today's word of the day is amalaka. Amalaka means a bulbous or melon-like ornament terminating the shikaras of medieval Indian temples. Amalaka comes from Sanskrit, Amalaka, myrobalan. First known use, 1864. Today's word of the day is anthroposophy. Anthroposophy means 1. A. Knowledge of the nature of human beings. B. Human wisdom. 2. A spiritual and mystical doctrine that grew out of theosophy and derives mainly from the philosophy of Rudolf Steiner, Austrian social philosopher, 1861 to 1925. Anthroposophy comes from anthrop plus sophy. First known use, circa 1780, sense 1a. Today's word of the day is amphioxus. Amphioxus means a lancelet of the genus Branchiostoma, typically being a small transparent marine animal pointed at both ends, having an oral opening just below the anterior end, surrounded by cirri, dorsal and anal fins, but no limbs, a notochord, a dorsally situated nerve cord but no definite brain, a system of blood vessels but no hearts, eyes represented by a medium pigment spot, and an olfactory but no auditory organ. Amphioxus comes from first known use, 1837. Today's word of the day is altazimuth. Altazimuth means an instrument consisting of a telescope mounted so that it can swing horizontally and vertically and used for observing the altitude and azimuth of a celestial body, called also altitude azimuth. Also, any of several other instruments, such as a theodolite, mounted so that it swings in the same way. Altazimuth comes from international scientific vocabulary, altitude plus azimuth. First known use, 1851. Today's word of the day is almaki. Almaki means an Acna Manilcara albescens, with hard, compact, heavy, deep red wood. Almaki comes from a modification of American Spanish, almiki. First known use, 1912. C. Almiki. Today's word of the day is almaki. Almaki means an acna manilcara albescens with hard, compact, heavy, deep red wood. Almaki comes from a modification of American Spanish almiki, first known use 1912. Today's word of the day is almaki. Almaki means an acna manilcara albescens with hard, compact, heavy, deep red wood. Almaki comes from a modification of American Spanish almiki, first known use 1912. The day is ischorolatria. Ischorolatria means worship of filth, cult of the obscene. Ischorolatria comes from Greek iskros, shameful, ugly, from eskos, disgrace, plus latria, latry. Today's word of the day is Achatinella. Achatinella means 1. Capitalized, a genus comprising many species and varieties of air-breathing land snails peculiar to the Hawaiian Islands. 2. A snail of the genus Achatinella. Achatinella comes from New Latin, from achatina plus ella, first known use 1828, sense 1.